Oh, well, hello. I was going to play some music in because I put some kind of Celtic music in there. A little too mellow, but I've got Sid Squatch back with me, and I'm going to talk tonight. It's going to be the first half of my stuff because there's just too much. So if you get bored, leave, but I don't think you will because there's lots of good, fun, and interesting information. So I'm going to roll the intro, and I will see you back here in 30 seconds or so. Boom! Let's do this. Okay, hi. I keep forgetting to mention. So Jen Taylor reminded me of this app. So I'm going to talk. It's Atlas Obscura, and you saw it on here. Look, if I take this out for a second. That's what it looks like. I'll show it to you on the App Store on your phone. It looks like that thing right there. Okay. So I've been using Atlas Obscura for years. I mean, I haven't taught, I think it's my 8th year in real estate. I haven't taught since then. I mean, really. And I used to use it for fun facts and stuff, but you can use it now. This is the coolest thing ever. I've got to add this to my stream. I just realized, like I always have to do. I got to get my Google Slides that I used. So you can use this. This is the coolest thing, to see a whole bunch of things in cities that you're visiting, and even in your hometown. So like I was talking about this with my friend Mona, and and I've talked about this before. You always get like a little sad when you come home from vacation, or a lot of people do. I don't know if you do or not. Hopefully you can relate to me with that. But and part of that is, I think, is you're just so excited and you're bouncing around and you're doing stuff and you're going to museums and you're doing all these things that you wouldn't do before. In Scotland, I walked everywhere, 5 to 7 miles a day. I would totally do that here, but it's too god awful hot and things are too spread out. So then, there's lots of cool things to see. Hey, biatch, love you. Courtney, I love you. I'm going to talk about you too. So I'm going to talk to you about some of this stuff because it's really cool. So I'm going to add this to here. I'm going to put myself down here. Okay. So the world champs, Switzerland and Scotland. So the thing is, I am only going to do half. So I'm going to talk about the world. I'm going to talk about the Atlas Obscura stuff in Zurich, Lucerne, and Glasgow, and the Highland Games stuff. And then next week, I'll talk to you about all the stuff I did in Edinburgh. Okay, that's how you said it. And my new friend Sean would say Edinburgh. So I had a little schooling on that stuff. Okay, so now this Atlas Obscura, I showed you the app, and this is the site. So the site looks like, actually, I'll go here and share my screen really quickly because you just look it up, Atlas Obscura. Okay, so hopefully you can see this, right? Okay, so then say you're going to go to Moscow, or let's just pick one right there, Paris, just because I don't want to have to type it in. Pick Paris, and then it has all of these cool things, unusual attractions. Okay, it says 178 things to do in Paris. So you can click on that and expand it. You can search it by map. Okay, I was using my phone for some of this, but I can't quite figure out how to do search by map right now. But you can download the app there. Anyway, look at all these things. So it'll say, okay, everybody knows about the catacombs, but maybe people don't know about this. It's an abandoned railway line circling the city of Paris, Petit Ceinture, however you say that, okay? So that's the coolest part about Atlas Obscura, is that, aptly named, it will take you to obscure parts of towns. Okay, so let me get back to this. Got to bring it back up here. Okay, so you can also get a book and you can get the newsletter and blah, blah, blah. So this would be like the regular Atlas thing. So Courtney says, oh, Got a dip. Hunger from a late dinner. Later. Bye, Courtney. You the best, champ. Well, you know, I love you so much. All right, Jennifer Taylor. I love Atlas Obscura. Yeah. So the cool thing is, Jen and I spent a lot of time together hanging out in all the places. And she was like, yeah, let's use Atlas Obscura for this. So I'll talk about this in a minute. And I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot about this. So it's the coolest thing. So I'm going to show you all of the cool things that I found with her and then by myself. Sorry, my dad. I don't think he realizes what I'm doing right now. Anyway, so this is the first one, and I had to type some stuff up, okay? So this was Jen and me in Zurich, okay? So this is in Switzerland. So this is the Heureka Useless Machine. It's one of a series of no-purpose kinetic artworks by a Swiss sculptor called Jean Tinguely. I'm probably butchering the name. So this person, I don't know if it's a guy or girl, was a Swiss sculptor famous for his no-purpose kinetic artworks, such as this useless machine. So this is actually my pictures. We talked about it. We couldn't get like a good angle because there's lots of construction going on over there. So the title Heureka is in ancient Greek for I've got it. This is meant to be ironic. The sculpture created in 1964 is an allegory of consumerism in advanced industrial societies. The machine churns and churns, but with no purpose, just absurdity. Okay, so that's kind of cool. This is us, obviously, tooling around Scotland, looking super cool. What do we keep calling these, Jen? Parkas? In our a parka tarp poncho, okay? And actually we got lots of attention. People are like, let me guess, you're from Scotland? And we're like, no. This, I don't have any names for this, but the place where it was, that machine was, they have other interesting sculptures. I don't know what this lady is, but just cool stuff. And that's Jen and I. We actually got very excited because we had walked. This day we walked almost 10 miles, and I was like dying. I was wearing those sandal things you're looking at, and they're actually like barefoot sandals, so they're like meant for walking around. But it was raining, and it was like, oh my God! And we caught this ferry like back to the town. We still had to walk like a mile and a half maybe back to the train, but we were very excited about this. And now Switzerland, we're there. So the next thing is the Dance of Death Bridge. Okay, so that's that really long one there. The gable roof bridge was built in the 13th century to connect a group of mill buildings to the mainland. During its initial usage, the bridge was unique in that the mill workers could simply dump their waste into the river, since they were so far downstream. The wooden bridge survived for hundreds of years, retaining its peaked medieval style. So Jen and I talked about this. Okay, so I didn't put this together that well. And I have some videos, but I wasn't able to upload them today. So if you're looking at these pictures and that roof, we think those are like original, of course, but maybe the walkway was redone. So in the mid 1600s, it was decided that the bridge would be spruced up a bit, and a project was spearheaded to create a series of artworks forming a dance of death cycle, also known as a dance macabre, or Totentanz in German. I'm probably saying that wrong. The object of such works was to remind everyone that death comes for us all, whether old or young, rich or poor. In the end, 67 separate works were painted in the rafters, which you see there, of the covered bridge, each featuring at least one skeletal harbinger of death, more often a number of them. So I'm sorry I don't have it close in to see that, but they're coming to drag people to the afterlife. Monks, knights, nuns, and their beggars are all seen being taken by death, no matter their life. So the cool thing too is I got this information directly from Atlas Obscura. This is some views from the bridge there. Beautiful, right? The city. Okay, this is the Lion of Lucerne. So it's actually spelled Luzern. It's a memorial commemorating fallen Swiss guards of the French Revolution, and it's been called the saddest stone in the world. Okay, so it was created to remember the hundreds of Swiss guards who were massacred during the French Revolution. The Lion of Lucerne was emotionally evocative enough to garner the attention of none other than Mark Twain. Oh, I don't think I put that in there, but it was carved directly into the wall of a former sandstone quarry in Lucerne. This lion statue sees the regal beast dying from a spear wound, which is marked by a shield bearing the mark of the French monarchy. The remarkably large monument was etched from the stone in 1820 and measures a remarkable 10 meters in length and 6 meters in height. And so you can see how far away we are from it. It's Beautiful, though. So on the inscription is Latin for "to the loyalty and bravery of the Swiss," and below the lion's niche is a list of some of the deceased officers' names. Right? Okay, so this is us walking around in Zurich, and we were laughing about this sign because we're like, okay, you can't cross the street unless you're a man in a 1950s hat and you're holding the hand of a little kid. This is, parts of Switzerland. We were on the way to Interlaken. This is from the train. There was a lot of clouds, many, many clouds. So this is in Interlaken, and we ran into Kevin and Nanette Rogers, and then that's us boarding the plane very early in the morning for Scotland. This is the Queensferry Bridge, which I love taking pictures from all kinds of different angles. And then this is outside of the Blair Castle, and I had posted this, so some of these you'll see again. And we were laughing about this because we're like, how slow is dead slow? I mean, we get that the kilometers right there is 5, but like to describe it as dead slow is hysterical. But then somebody commented on it. It's funny because if you say something like, oh, he's dead sexy, or I'm dead tired, it kind of makes sense. It's just that we've never seen it in a sign, So this is Blair Castle. The earliest known part of the present castle dates back from 1269 and is known as Comyns Tower. And like I said, I don't have any videos. You get to do cool things like this, take these neat pictures. It's just beautiful in there. So I'm going to quickly go through these. Very opulent. That's the ceiling. This is a coronary gown, and then those are pajamas. Can you imagine wearing that to bed? And then that to me reminds me of Dracula. And then we were laughing about this, like this guy, this picture right here. It would be like, this guy's like, what do you think of my socks? Oh, and I'm just dancing around, Just really funny. A lot of stairs in Scotland here, and then this just weirdly placed stair in this little nook there. They've got lots of guns and stuff on the wall. It's beautiful. I love this picture because it's like 3D. And then we were wondering who this guy was on the. It's just because it just looks out of place, but it's their what's that thing called? Their crust or whatever. So they've got lots of antlers and stuff too. The hallway, that was kind of cool. You know me, I like to take weird angles. There was a neat little cemetery and church outside of there. Cool angle there. And then this is Inverness. So we drove up to Inverness for the night. It was like a 3.5 hour drive. We spent the night, we looked around, we left, and then we went down toward the Braemar Games. So these are just some of my pictures to show you. I showed this one too. This is a beautiful picture. That's untouched. It's 2 churchyards. I'm actually in one, looking into the other church. I don't think that church actually has a graveyard, but I'm standing in the one. And then here's just another view, with a lamp there. And then, just a view through the thing. So I'm just showing you a little bit. This is one of my favorites, and I haven't posted it yet. You can see the cobwebs there. So like even with your iPhone, you can take some pretty nifty angles. I posted that one too. And then this is like across, like our Airbnb was just on the other side of that bridge there. So we were like really close to town. And then that's us skipping rocks at Loch Ness. So of course, Loch Ness has been proved to, it was a farce, but I mean, you got to go see it. You go to Scotland, you're going to be close enough. You got to go see it, right? It's just like when I was in Norway and I had to go see that Atlantic Bridge. And I went 4.5 hours out of my way, actually a little more than that. But it's, as you can see, it's beautiful. I mean, it's a lake. And then how many people can say they've skipped rocks in Loch Ness? And we were laughing about this because we're totally in sync with like our form. Okay, here's a couple of people I met on the train to Glasgow. That's Gerald. He's actually from New York, but he was living in London, and he's been living in Glasgow for like 5 years. Not Glasgow, Scotland for like 5 years. He loves it. We had a really nice chat on the train. And then I wrote the names of these 2 people that I'm standing in front of on this side. And I was walking around. I was on my way to the necropolis, which I'll talk about in a minute. And they were like, do you want to see the museum? And I was like, can I? And it was just this little museum. And we just talked, and they turned off lights for me so I could take better pictures. And we took a picture, and they were just like super friendly people. Like the best thing I learned about Scotland is everybody's super friendly. This is, okay, now we're back to Atlas Obscura stuff. This is the Duke of Wellington statue. And I was so mad about the cone being on his head and then another one under his arm. But it's a monument. This is a monument that has been wearing a traffic cone or hat for decades. And the locals love it. Okay, so this statue is located just outside of Glasgow's Gallery of Modern Art and has graced the city's urban center since its establishment in 1844. So, like, the craziest thing to me is how you're just walking around these places, and of course, our country is only what 250 years old or so. It's just crazy how historic and amazing like these places are. So, sometime during the 1980s. Cheeky passerbys began climbing the proud equestrian statues and placing a traffic cone on the Duke's head. No one's sure who started it, but inebriated tricksters kept replacing the traffic cone each time the city would take it down. The image of the Duke with this bright orange hat became so common that most came to accept it as the standard look. It became a popular photo spot for visitors. The prankish practice does not seem to symbolize anything greater than the playful spirit of certain Glaswegians, but that seems to have been more than enough to make sure the Duke of Wellington's head will not get cold anytime soon. They actually wanted to remove it, and they threw like a big fit. It's pretty interesting. This is the Trongate Cherub, and the interesting thing about this is I looked around forever for this. So you'll get on the app, and then it'll give you directions too. And then it'll say it's in the northwest corner, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't quite read all the things. And so I looked and looked and looked, and I was getting frustrated, couldn't find it. And then finally I saw it. Okay. And this is an angelic yet demonic looking figurine presiding over one of Glasgow's most ancient streets. Oh, am I? Okay. What am I doing here? Sorry, I had printed too many things. It stands on the southwestern corner of Merchant City. Oops, I don't know what you missed. I accidentally hit mute, I guess. Anyway, this is on the southwest corner of Merchant City, a hip and prosperous suburb of Glasgow. It's adjacent to a Reformation building, period building known as the Tron Kirk, which is along with its impressive 16th century clock tower, they formed an area that became known as the Tron Gate. It has been reported that several unscrupulous merchants who cheated on the taxation system either had their noses pinched or ears removed for their thievery, and it's believed that the ears were then nailed to the building's posts. This is where the term earmarked is said to have originated. Crazy, right? Okay, so this is the Glasgow necropolis, and this is 50,000 bodies are buried there. It's respectful to the dead, safe and sanitary to the living, dedicated to the genius of memory, okay? 37 acres is the necropolis, and it sits on a hill adjacent to the Glasgow Cathedral, which is beautiful also. Monuments of every architectural style are here. And in 1832, the Cemeteries Act was passed in Britain, which allowed burial for profit. Before the act, the parish church held full responsibility for burying the dead. At that time, Glasgow had a growing population with fewer folks attending church, and the city was one of the first to take advantage of the act. But I'll show you a few pictures. It's beautiful. You know me and my love of graveyards. Amazing. So it's massive. Like, I didn't even see the whole thing. And there's one of my cool, like, you know, little pictures again. And then we're off to the Scotia Bar, which is the oldest pub established in 1792, okay? It claims to be the oldest surviving pub in Glasgow, and the pub's age is apparent from the wood beams of the low ceiling, the match strikers screwed to the front of the L-shaped bar, and the brass taps. During the 1960s and 70s, the pub was a haven for folk singers, poets, and other performers. Singer Gary Rafferty and comedian Sir Billy Connolly got their start playing at the Scotia with their band and Humble Bums. Oh, the Humble Bums. I'm like, what's that? Later, as the stories from the Scotia Bar would become a fixture in Connolly's stand-up. So, a few of the former patrons and employees are rumored to haunt the pub. Reported sightings include a woman in a white wimple who sits at the bar or in the snug. Okay, I don't know these words. I should have looked them up. The Green Lady, a barmaid in a velvet green dress who walks up and down the length of the pub, and the ghost of a manager who hanged himself in the pub cellar. There have also been claims of the ghost of a young boy playing in the doorway, thought to be the spirit of the former owner's son. I went to so many places that were supposedly haunted The Holiday Inn Express thing in the back kind of ruins it there, but these are some nice people I met. Randy, Linda, and Sean. Sean's the one on the far right there, and he lives there. He's a regular there. Randy and Linda were there walking this crazy, I don't know, 15 miles a day, 100-something miles or whatever. Like super active people and fun. We enjoyed beers together and had a lot of laughs, and now we're Facebook friends. So I loved it. And this is from the World Champs in Switzerland. That's Courtney, who had to leave. I won. She took second. We are always laughing. We always say it doesn't matter who wins between us. This is after a long day in the rain and competing, and everybody was competing in the mud. And this is Braemar. I wanted to show you the video too, but Braemar is the oldest games in Scotland. This is the first time that they allowed women. This was a big deal. This is the first time they allowed women to compete there, and they were pretty they really didn't want to let us on the field, but then they let us on the field, and then they ended up being really nice, and they were very supportive and great, but it was hard to get on the field, and we were a little nervous about it. And once we did, they allowed us to throw. Had to throw the men's weight, so we threw the men's light hammer, lightweight for distance, and the light stone. And so I think we started throwing around 10, maybe 10:30. We were done by 11:30. It only took about an hour. They run pretty efficient games. This is the Highland Games people that got to go. Jennifer Taylor, Laura Anthony, Susan Richter, I think is her last name. Oh shit, I forgot. Miranda, I forgot her last name. Sorry. I'm such a terrible person. I've been tagging them. And then Rick, I think Erickson. He's from Phoenix, so we met him there. So there's a bunch of Americans throwing. That was pretty cool. And then, of course, toast at the end. Brewer, thank you. Miranda Brewer. She's adorable. Look at her. Look at that little face back there. Thank you. I don't use people's last names too often. All right, so then we're all doing a shot there. Of course, with Glenn Fiddick, it was great. And then this is a group of Miranda. I think you're on the end there. This is a group of what are they called? Jennifer said you remembered Rick and I remembered Erickson. Yeah, that's awesome. These are tug of war people. Like they do the awesome games there at the Braemar Games. They do all kinds of stuff, running and all kinds of stuff. And then, of course, they wanted to be picked up. So Susan and Laura picked them up. Tug of war. Oh, yeah, Jennifer says tug of war. Yeah, I know. It's taken me forever, right? And then I took a picture with a guy there, and this is some fans. So the coolest thing about throwing at Braemar was that the crowd loved it. The crowd loved it because, oh, I almost knocked Sit Squatch over. Have you not seen him this whole time? Anyway, the crowd loved it. They had a blast. We took a bunch of pictures with them. Everybody was super friendly. We got a lot of hugs. It was amazing. So it was definitely worth the experience. And it's actually quite beautiful there too, as you will see in a second here. That's just outside. That's Braemar Village. And then, of course, I'm taking, cool, obscure photos again. And that's just all of us after the games. Just a picture together. Jennifer Taylor, if you're still watching, I don't remember these guys' names. I know Pete Hart. That's the guy sitting down with his hand like this. He's the one that runs the games. This is in Blairgowrie, which is south of Braemar, northeast of Edinburgh. And the guy standing is a world record holder of the hammer, but the guy sitting there beat his hammer record, light hammer, I believe, 150 feet. Stephen King. Oh, yeah, that's right. And Bruce, I don't know how to say it, Atkin? 150 feet, right, Jen? I mean, insane. Like these guys, holy cow. It's a little intimidating throwing hammer in front of them. Okay, this is a hilarious story. Jen will remember this guy's name. I feel like it was Jamie, but I'm probably wrong. And I can't remember the other guy's name. So Jen says 155 light hammer record. Is that not insane? Insane. You guys look it up. I mean, it's crazy. Okay, so this, I feel like the guy on the left is from Canada. I know. I don't remember the other guy's from. I feel like his name's Jamie. But that picture of that guy without a shirt on, it was some funny thing. So the short story is that he threw like a really good hammer. He ripped his shirt off, and some photographer took the picture. But actually, like, see, Jamie from Canada, I was right there, and Kyle Randall. So there you go. Jamie Trask. That's right. Gosh, you have a good memory. Jeez. That's amazing. So this famous, or I don't know if he was famous, but this photographer took his picture, but then he had put it up in a studio for like a year. It was on display or whatever. And then he went to a games and he gave it to the guy, and the guy was like embarrassed. Okay, Matt Doherty is the guy in the photo. Okay. And he was just like, I don't know, he's like embarrassed or whatever because he's like shirt off and his eyes are closed. So he threw it in the trash. And so Jamie didn't pick it up, but some other guy did. Now it's become this like awesome thing where they pass it on to another guy, like at another games. And actually, it's a beautiful photo, and it's in great shape, and it's huge. And so I don't know how they travel with that thing, but it's a great story. So you meet like the most wonderful people. That's us after the Blairgowrie game. So Miranda, no, you were not there at that one. We were wearing our American-made with Scottish roots shirts for them. So that's the end of that presentation, but it was really an experience, and it was awesome. So the best part about this is for you when you go out of town. So I'm going to start doing stuff here in Phoenix too. Like I'm going to take my niece, and it's going to be really fun. Okay. Oh, hey, Punch. Hey, Punch. So thank you for joining me and allowing me to share this stuff with you. You know, it's really fun to talk about, and it's really cool because maybe you'll have the opportunity to go sometime. And like, don't be afraid to step out of the box. It was terrifying to walk onto that Braemar field and then have them kind of be like, yeah, I don't know. And we were like, dang it. We knew something might happen. But then we got over that fear, and it was amazing. And we all had so much fun. And we stayed in an Airbnb together in Blairgowrie. No, not in Blairgowrie. Just couldn't remember. I know the name of the town. Is it Blairgowrie? Maybe it is Blairgowrie. Whatever. Anyway. Close to Braemar. No, not close to Braemar. We had to drive like an hour. Oh my God. I'm like crazy. But the point is, step outside of your box. Don't be afraid. Do the hard things. Miranda says, it was amazing. Yeah, we had so much fun. Miranda and I had like the most delicious meal when we all ate together. It was like, it's like a fish strudel or something like that, right? It was like a fish pasta. I don't know. It was interesting. A fish stroganoff. Like, you wouldn't think that sounds good. But anywho, back to the point with my ADD. Sorry. Don't be afraid to step outside the box. Step outside of your comfort zone. Take those chances. You never know what's going to happen. I met so many people. I've got new friends on Facebook now. I've got new friends in the Highland Games. Met so many people in Blairgowrie. They were so welcoming. They were positive. We laughed a lot. I wish I could have shared the videos, but I couldn't upload them. So maybe I'll do that next week because there's some really funny ones that I've already seen. Punch says, just don't kill anyone. I know, exactly, right? Yeah. Haven't done that, so that's good. So yeah, I travel, do the things. Like I said, I had that am I cool enough thing. I went to Norway this summer. I went to Switzerland and Scotland. What? Next week I'm going to share the Edinburgh stuff. It's really cool. I've got a lot of Atlas Obscura things and some fun little stories. The people in Scotland are wonderful. They're very friendly, and if you travel alone, it's okay. You're safe. It's quite amazing. So I'm happy to be home. I've adjusted a little better than I did from the Norway time that I traveled. I suffered from narcolepsy. I felt like for a whole week when I got back from there. But yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining me. And I forgot. You know what Sid Squash always says? The journey begins with you. So be good to yourself. And what I always say, Horgan loves you. Peace and love, everybody. Have a great night. See you next week.